Back in the A&M Aggie days, a famous New York editor once said, "Go west, young man, go west and grow with the country." The Oklahoma State football staff has decided they're going to go out west for talent acquisition, but we're going to bring them back here to grow in God's country.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at Oldeo State. Today, we're partially brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head on over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. If you need one now, go ahead and grab it at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized forever with 5 Hour Energy. Meanwhile, we're going to shift into the conversation that is quarterback, the conversation that will always be the most popular on every campus in the country. And in order for that to be a conversational piece, for the backup to always be the most sought-after guy on campus, you have to continuously fill the coffers with talent. Oklahoma State has had the most talent in acquisition from the quarterback standpoint in recent memory, dating back to Garrett Rangel being a 247 and ESPN 4-star get. Then you have Mr. Nebraska, Zane Flores. Then you had somebody who shattered a bunch of Tom Brady's records by way of Juniper Sierra, California, and Maealiuaki Smith. And now you have Haas Haney coming over, who obviously was a massive get coming out of high school, was a 91 overall rating. So we've had a string of very successful recruiting at the quarterback position, which is precisely what allows us to have all of these guys competing this year to raise the expectations. So who could potentially be next? Well, we all know recently 4-star Oscar Rios was on campus. The 6'3", 175-pound Downey, California product has thrown for 5,909 yards, 53 TDs, 12 interceptions, career 65% completion percentage, 255 yards per game this previous year as in high school. He has 126 career quarterback rating. He's also rushed for 1,640 yards with 21 touchdowns, and he averaged a little over 75 yards rushing per game this previous season. We do have to compete with a lot of the heavy hitters in the Big 12 that we've had to kind of sift through recently. Your Utahs, your Arizona, your Arizona States. And of course, you got to factor in Colorado, but they're also being pursued by Auburn, Nebraska, Kentucky, Cal, KU, Washington, Virginia Tech. The list goes on and on and on. So Oscar Rios is definitely an individual that most teams in the country are trying to land, especially a lot of those in our backyard, especially in the recruiting areas of the Big 12. So it's going to be difficult to hold off those individuals. But at the same time, I don't think any of us expect us to, go into the season with all 4 of these quality quarterbacks. Would that be phenomenal? Yes. But several have already proven they can play at this level, and several athletically seem to have the capability to do that as well. So it would be kind of wild to be able to hold on to all 4 of them. So you have to make sure that you have somebody coming up next. So we know Oscar Rios has already been on campus. How about another California native that is on campus? Luke Fahey from Mission Viejo, California. 6 foot, 195-pound quarterback. In just 29 games, has thrown for 3,822 yards, 43 touchdowns to only 6 picks. That is a wild number right there. He has 148 quarterback rating in his previous season. He averaged 16 yards per completion and 76% completion percentage this previous year. He also brings in almost 800 yards rushing. He also plays basketball, and he's a legitimate lacrosse guy. I don't know anything about lacrosse. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But being a multi-sport athlete is always something that Mike Gundy is looking for. And when you're a lacrosse guy and a basketball guy and a proven quarterback who was just named an MVP at a Houston 7-on-7 event, it's because he can do a multitude of things. And from a defensive standpoint, he makes you respect his legs and his arm and his ability to throw off platform and make things happen. This is going to be yet another scenario where we have a conversation about getting quarterback from out west. And as we saw last year, Maealiuaki Smith did not get a lot of benefits. Even Mike Gundy mentioned that in a recent interview, which we're going to talk a little bit more on later. But he mentioned that we did not help Maealiuaki Smith a whole lot last season, and he was still able to go out there and make himself a valuable commodity at this level. So whenever you look at the success that Maealiuaki Smith had as a true freshman, given the disastrous situation we had at the offensive line, given the deficiencies we had with Alan Bowman at times being problematic, and the biggest discrepancy would be that our coaching staff did not do enough throughout the course of the season to put the best quarterbacks on the field and to give them the most ability to be successful. Yet Maealiuaki Smith was still able to not only carve out a W in the last few games of the season, but he almost led us to the possibility of another win as well. So we know what we got out of Maealiuaki Smith last year. So if we can get more of that, whether it be Oscar Rios or the Mission of Viejo, California individual, this is going to be huge. I think Luke Fahey would be a massive addition to the staff. And when you're looking at a Spencer Sanders, Haas Haney kind of guy, he fits that mold. I think Oscar Rios would be more like a Garrett Rangel without having to take the extra Rob Glass time to kind of get his 40 down. He has adequate ability to take off and run. Both of these quarterbacks do. And the ability to shed you through the air is obviously indicative of the yards they were able to put up. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a difference between Downey competition level and Mission Viejo competition level. I think Downey's classification is Division II as opposed to the open division, which is what Mission Viejo would likely be in. So the level of competition is a little bit different, but you can look at the names that are recruiting both of these guys. You've got SEC schools, Big 10 schools, Big 12 schools, and it's going to be difficult to kind of hold them off. One thing that'll be beneficial is to see what we do out of the quarterback position this year, regardless of who wins the job. If it is going to be Garrett Rangel, if it is going to be Haas Haney, if it is going to be Zane Forrest or Maealiuaki Smith, at the end of the day, whoever wins the job is going to do a big part in helping recruit the next quarterback to come in for the 2026 class. And we did have Jet New for a long time this previous season. And I'll be 100% realistic with you with the quarterbacks that we have, with these two other California native individuals being potentially headed to Stillwater America, at least one of the two. We feel like we have a pretty good shot there. Then we may not be missing a whole lot on Jet New. But what we will miss out on is his brother, which we've talked about the tight ends being more important. We saw Josiah kind of do some things that led us to believe that there's going to be a reemergence at tight end last year. Now, we did get to see kind of the come up of true freshman Josh Ford from Stillwater, but it's going to be a big deal for these quarterbacks on this roster to implement the tight end into the game plan. And again, we are essentially selling ourselves as a university, but also as an offense. So whoever we do have to come in to be the quarterback for the 2026 class, I think some of it will be contingent upon what we do this season. It's one thing to tell recruits, this is what it's going to look like. We're going to score more points. We're going to have a lot of tempo. We're going to do things a lot faster. We're going to be much more explosive and also have a 1-2 combo in the backfield that makes people respect the offensive game planning even more. It's one thing to say all that. And it's one thing to have the ability to showcase some of it in spring. It's another thing entirely to do it throughout the course of the season. It's coming down to the sales pitch has been great. I think a lot of people have been receptive. Now it's going to come down to our time and our turn to make the most of it. I don't know that it's going to be an easy proposition, but it's something that we absolutely have to get done. Speaking of getting things done, have security for you and your kids' future is pretty important. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Fabric by Gerber Life is what is going to allow you to have peace of mind in the future because life does move fast, especially when you have a family. One of these days, you're going to get up and your kids are going to go from taking their first steps to getting ready for college. That's why securing their future right now is very important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your entire family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch, and you could be covered in under 10 minutes. And in many cases, there's not even a health exam required. You're going to get the peace of mind as a parent that you don't want to deal with the future not being protected, especially when it is going to matter the most. Fabric is going to give you that peace of mind. You can get $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. So protecting your loved ones doesn't have to break the bank either. It also is going to allow you to have a free digital will and access to investment accounts to help plan for your child's future. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help connect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That is meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege, all one word. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Price subject to underwriting and health questions. Get squared away today for you and your family's future with Fabric by Gerber Life. Do not miss out on your opportunity to secure the future. Do that today with Fabric. We also have Prize Picks back in the fold here. This is the daily fantasy sports way for you to get in on the action and have the most amount of fun with it. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's not a better way for you to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for all daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you simply just pick more or less than on at least 2 players' projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, Prize Picks is going to allow you to bet on almost everything to keep the game exciting. This week, you could be building your own specific lineup, maybe Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run, maybe Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. It's that simple. The starting lineup takes less than 60 seconds to put together, and when you win, the payout is quick, safe, and secure. Make sure that you take advantage of our Taco Tuesdays, where Prize Picks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That code is LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Play the daily fantasy sports game the right way with Prize Picks so you can, in fact, run your game your way. All right, so now we get to shift gears here to Steve Lutz, who seemingly picked up a lot of steam with this Texas A&M stuff. And maybe it was process of elimination, right? They did have a few guys already tell them no. But the fact that Steve Lutz was high up on their list was slightly problematic for all of us in Cowboy country. Well, now he's been kind of putting some stuff out today, subliminal messaging perhaps, to start off the day, followed by the news of a couple more really big-time transfer gets. So this might be the solidification process where Steve Lutz shifts over from being a proven X's and O's guy. He's coached at 3 places in his entire career, and he sent all 3 of them to postseason play. Now, his first 2 stops, they went to the NCAA tournament. This year, in a rebuild year, he took Oklahoma State to the NIT, and we made a run all the way to the Elite 8 in the NIT. Is it the NCAA tournament? No. But it did bring us some cachet. And speaking of cachet, could it perhaps be that Steve Lutz was interested in the Texas A&M job, and he was willing to have some engaging conversations with Texas A&M for Texas A&M themselves to put out that he's under serious consideration? Because do we have A&M money? No, we do not. But you got to think about it. If I'm a transfer, if I'm a recruit, and I'm looking at Oklahoma State as a potential destination place, if Texas A&M is willing to drop off massive bags of cash to our head coach, and he decides to turn those down to stay in Stillwater, Oklahoma, is that not more of a sales pitch for why players should come take a peek at what is cooking inside Galgaraiba? The biggest difficulty this previous season was the fact that we had a bunch of athletes, we had a bunch of defensive style guys, but we didn't have tried and true hoopers. We didn't have knockdown, drag out shooters. And now we've already made some waves. And the only guy leaving thus far off a scholarship is Connor Dow. And now we bring in Kanye Clary, a 5'11", 195-pound guard, most recently from Mississippi State after transferring from Penn State, which he chose Penn State coming out of high school over Texas A&M, right? A pretty cool segue there. He started as a true freshman at Penn State. The very next year, as a sophomore, as a Nittany Lion, he averaged 16.7 points a game, 1.1 steals a game, 2.8 assists a game, 3.5 rebounds a game. He shot over 46% from the floor and just a hair over 37% from the three-point range. We do need more shooters, but we also saw this last year we were a little bit limited on the guys who could kind of get into the paint, create some chaos, and get equal distribution to the guys outside to have enough room to be productive and to have a shot at being efficient. So Kanye Clary, I think, does in fact bring that to the fold. This previous year, his last year at Penn State, he averaged hitting 3.3 threes a game while shooting 81% from the free throw line. He only played 7 games this previous year at Mississippi State because he had a lower leg injury. And the whole thing with Penn State, it is kind of odd, right? You don't see student athletes suing universities all that often. He did, in fact, sue Penn State. But obviously, Steve Lutz and staff did their own investigations. They did their due diligence, and they found a way to make it make sense for him to be a Cowboy. And amongst all of that suing stuff, it obviously wasn't one-sided because afterwards, Penn State coaches and players seemingly turned their back on Clary being a Nittany Lion. So there was obviously something going on internally that we might get the story a little bit later. It might be a little convoluted, but nonetheless, I feel confident that this is a good get. And before I even did research onto who he was, if you go on his X Twitter account, you can see some like private workouts he's doing. This is a next level get for us. He offers something that we didn't have on this year's team, like point blank period. So he would be somebody that I think we should be extremely excited about. And then on top of that, we also got Isaiah Coleman from Seton Hall, the 6'5" sophomore, averaged 15.6 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 1.7 assists per game, shooting 38.9% from the floor. He did shoot 31% from three-point range, but I went back and looked at Chi Avery, who also shot 29% his first couple years in college from the three-point range, and he obviously got better in his career until his time at Oklahoma State. It was kind of where he flourished there. Isaiah Coleman is more of a slasher, a driver, a pull-up specialist, right? 17, 15-footed in. He's got some amazing abilities, very long and rangy. He's 6'5", but I think his arm span is more like 6'9". He can score in bunches when need be. He dropped 27 points with 9 boards in their last game of the season versus Marquette. A couple games before that, he dropped another 25 points. So I looked up the Chi Avery stuff because when you look at his film, it reminds me of Marcellus Chi Avery. And then whenever you look at his stroke from the three-point range at 31%, you're like, oh, well, that might not do it. So I went back and looked, and Chi Avery at New Mexico State was 29% from the three-point range, and he ticked up over the years to 34, 35%. And I think that Isaiah Coleman could have the same capabilities. Plus, he's going to be here a couple of years. I mean, just like Kanye Clary started as a true freshman at Penn State, Isaiah Coleman started as a true freshman at Seton Hall. He was a 4-star coming out of high school, ranked number 110 overall in America. So the X's and O's side of Steve Lutz, we know it works. We've seen him do it, not only here in Stillwater, but at multiple other stops as well. And now we get to see his recruiting acumen because we really didn't get to see that this previous year. Again, he was kind of a late hire. He kind of had to grab some guys late through the transfer portal, and he wasn't bashful. I mean, he did come out and say, we're just getting a lot of athletes that are going to tick the intensity level up a couple notches, and we're going to bring something difficult back to opposing teams playing in Galgrab Arena. He was able to do all that. He has a couple signature wins. He did make a little bit of a run here at the NIT tournament. The team clearly got better at the end of the year. I think that's something that a lot of people are glossing over. Travis Ford could coach a little bit and recruit pretty daggone well, but we never saw a lot of improvement throughout the course of the season. The same can be said for Mike Boynton. Phenomenal recruiter, not great at X's and O's, but we were kind of stagnant. So the teams that you saw in the beginning of the season were the same teams you saw at the end of the season. That did not happen under Steve Lutz. Like, we would not have made this late run. We wouldn't have made the Elite Eight in the NIT if we had not gotten better. And mind you, we did a lot of that without Marcellus Chi Avery, who is arguably our most dynamic scorer on the team. Should have easily been in the running for 6th man of the year in the Big 12. So I think Isaiah kind of fits in that Marcellus Chi Avery category. The ability to get in the lane, create for himself, hit from 15, 17-ish feet on a regular basis. He also has the ability to step outside. And if Chi Avery can go from 29% to 35%, then why can't Coleman go from 51 or 31% to 37%? I think that's definitely a possibility, especially when you have Keaton Page, man in the sidelines, the Pawnee pistol, knows how to shoot it from outside. And you also have Makai Ragland coming in. You have Ryan Karate coming in, who shot 46% from three-point range. So we've got shooters. Now, if we can get another big man, I really like Sutton from Omaha. I think he would be a wonderful addition. Not really a true big man per se, but Mekhi Ragland and Ben Ahmed might take a little bit of time to get up to speed. All right, Ben Ahmed might need to cut some weight, or we don't really know where he's at. From the weight standpoint, one classification has him at 250. Another one has him at 290 something. So we don't know exactly where he's going to fit. This is a really good sign, because it almost feels like Steve Lutz may have leveraged the Texas A&M job, the Texas A&M level money, to add even more mystique to his ability in the transfer portal and the recruiting side of things. If you cannot recruit top-tier talent to Oklahoma State, then we have a problem. And that has been, in my opinion, one of the only questions about Steve Lutz, because we were late to the party last year in almost all facets. So we didn't really get to see how phenomenal he could be in the portal because we got in it so late last year. We kind of just had to grab some pieces to make something work. This is proving to be a little bit of a different scenario here. These are two massive gets that we were not able to get last year, and it's partially just due to timing. So we're getting in on guys earlier. We have a long list of individuals that are at least considering Oklahoma State in the transfer portal era. So this next season could look entirely different. And we got to tip our cap to Coach Lutz if he did, in fact, leverage the A&M storylines being pushed around to utilizing it in the recruiting realm, in the transfer portal realm. I don't know how else we have an almost immediate announcement of these individuals now becoming Cowboys without some of it being used to Steve Lutz's benefit. And if that's the case, I think it's absolutely awesome, and I cannot wait to reap the benefits of it. Speaking of reaping benefits, 5 Hour Energy can be beneficial for you whenever you're trying to get squared away in your day, because daylight savings did sneak up on us a little bit. So if you're feeling that you still lose an hour of sleep, you're feeling sluggish more and more, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more fun time. But sometimes you need a little boost to power you through it. Whether you're staying up late to watch the NCAA tournament, you're going to play a quick round of golf, or you're just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. If you're going to stay up late and watch the all-night madness of college basketball as it narrows down to the national title, you're going to need a 5 Hour Energy to help you stay up through all of it. The extra daylight means extra activity, so much room for activities. With longer days, you're going to love getting outside more, and the tropical burst may be your go-to solution. Whether you're at a game, going to a game, or you're leaving a game, 5 Hour Energy is the easy to grab and easy to keep you feeling refreshed thing to get. Head on over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12 or 24 pack delivered right to your door. If you need one right now, go on and head over to your local grocery or convenience store to grab the 5 Hour Energy shot so you can stock up and stay energized all day, every day. Get with 5 Hour Energy to give you that extra boost you need just to get through life. So I was listening back through Mike Gundy's most recent press conference was a couple days ago, and he kind of talked about a multitude of things, right? One of those being some of the differentiations between a true GM and how he feels like he's a GM, even though he's already kind of designated Kenyatta to kind of fulfill some of those roles. But in doing that, right, the other interview from like 8-9 days ago popped back up. And in the very beginning, I caught something that obviously I missed, and I feel like a decent amount of people may have missed because it's not being talked about. He was asked very early on, now, how long into the season did it take you before you realized, oh crap, I've got to completely overhaul the staff. I got to change some things. I got to make some stuff happen. A concerning answer popped up. He said it took all the way to the end of the season. Or is that realistic? Right? As again, sometimes I will jump up and down on some of the things that are said. especially occasionally from Mike Gundy. And internally, I wanted to say, well, I don't know if that's good. I mean, that's not good, right? Let's call a spade. If Mike Gundy really didn't realize that we had massive deficiencies and a bunch of complacency going on until the very last week of the season, that's a problem. But then I also kind of realized that this is the same Mike Gundy that does not like to fire staff. This is the same Mike Gundy that does like to kind of keep his buddies close to the campus and close to him. So maybe, hopefully, Mike Gundy really didn't wait until the season was over before he realized, oh, crap, this was a disaster. I have to do something. If so, we might still be in some trouble. But it might just be a case of him not wanting to throw his buddies under the bus. If he's not going to want to fire his buddies, maybe he doesn't want to throw them under the bus either, right? That could be it. Hopefully that's what it is. Hopefully, again, it's not Mike Gundy legitimately saying, I thought we were fine all year until the very last week. If that's the case, then his evaluation abilities need to be in question. And let me know down in the comments section, right? This is a place where I'm looking for your guidance as well. Do you think that Mike Gundy legitimately did not see all of the red flags and all of the massive issues and the writings on the wall until it was already in the season? Or do you think that he's just trying to play nice? Because hopefully you would like to think that Mike Gundy saw week 7, week 8, holy crap, this isn't going to work. And we do know that he did shift, especially defensively. He shifted some of the coaches' responsibilities. So it almost leads me to believe that he did see, at least halfway through on the defensive side of the ball, that we had some glaring issues that needed to be resolved. You could argue about the way he went about it, possibly. But the offensive side of the ball, hopefully, he's just being nice, and he's not wanting to throw Casey Dunn under the bus. Because if it really took Mike Gundy until the Board of Regents fiasco for him to realize, oh, crap, I've got to fix this. The wheels on the bus don't go round and round no more. We could be in for another long season. But it almost feels like, because of what we do know about him shifting some of the responsibilities defensively, week 7, week 8-ish, that he probably did know. He's just not wanting to come out and say it, which is, I don't know. It'd be nice to some degree if Mike Gundy would just be like, absolutely, I knew, by week 7 that something massively had to change. That would be nice, but at the same time, maybe it shouldn't be expected. He could be playing nice with his buddies and not want to throw them completely under the horse and buggy. I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. I reckon that's all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listening on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, that's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there, you are everything that has made us what we are now and what we continue to try to reach towards. Without you, it's not possible, so I appreciate you. Do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave some reviews. Alrighty, y'all. Later, taters.